Hello friends, so today we are going to learn about crank and slotted lever quick return mechanism. In the previous class, we had done on all the four crank and slider inversions, right? So we have covered uh, Whitworth quick return motion mechanism. We have covered then uh, pendulum pump, and then crank and slider, and then oscillating cylinder. All the four inversions were covered in the previous lecture. So in today's lecture, let's start with the crank and slotted lever mechanism. Crank and slotted lever. So now, how is it different from our previous case? Like in Whitworth mechanism, right? We had a quick return mechanism. So why are we not calling it similar to Whitworth quick return mechanism? So let me show it right now. So we'll see that how is it different. So this is our cylinder, right? And then we have this one. Similarly, over here also we have our cylinder as well as our extension, right? Then we have crank. So then we have our crank. Even here we have our crank. Fine. Even here we have our crank. And then we have our connecting rod. Fine. Even here we have our connecting rod. And then we have our slider. Slider is here. Right. Here also we have our slider. So now let's name the links, right? So link number 1, fine. Link number 2, link number 3 and 4. Here too we can name it 1, 2, 3 and 4. And revolute joint here, here and here. And there is a prismatic joint between 2 and 1. Here also revolute joint here, here and here. And then prismatic joint between 2 and 1. Now can you make out what is different in this diagram? Can we make out? I would say that this is Whitworth, and this is crank and slotted lever. So what is the difference here? I think we can see the difference very clearly. In both the cases, we are going to fix link number 4. There is no difference in that. Here too, you are going to fix link number 4. And here too, you are going to fix link number 4. But here the difference, major difference is you can see that in Whitworth quick return mechanism, length of the crank is less than the length of the connecting rod. If you say this is R, and okay, here also this is R, and then you can say this is L, and this is also L. So you can see that R is less than R in one case, and over here in the other picture, if you see here, R is greater than L. Fine. So this is the major difference. That is why you can say that crank and slotted lever is not a standard slider crank chain. This is not a standard slider crank chain, because standard slider crank chain, we have a radius of the crank should be less than the length of the connecting rod. Fine. So this is a little modification of our slider crank chain. Fine. So this is used in a shaper machine. So crank and slotted lever application is in our machine tools lab. We have shaper machine, right, where quick return motion is used. So this is used in our shaper machine. Fine. And the similarity is always the shortest link can rotate for 360 degrees, right? So even here, the shortest link can rotate for 360 degrees. So which is the shortest link? L will be the shortest link. L is the shortest link here. So I will say link 3 is shortest link. So I feel that you can assume that this joint and this joint can rotate for 360 degrees. It means this joint where it is that end of the cylinder cannot rotate for 360 degrees. So this will only oscillate. Link number 1 will only oscillate and link 3 will make complete rotations. So link 1 oscillates and link 3 can make 360-degree rotations. Fine. So now if you check on the other side, Whitworth quick return mechanism. So where is its application? In yesterday's class, we have checked it, right? So the application was in aeroplanes, early aeroplanes. Okay, not now. Fine, not in modern aeroplanes. This mechanism has been discontinued in modern mechanisms. It was, what is this? This is a rotary engine, or it's even called Gnome engine. Okay, Gnome engine. So now as you can see that only one cylinder is not used in rotary engine, number of cylinders are used, okay, in a circular order with a single fourth link. So the fourth link is single, but number of third links you have, number of sliders you have, number of cylinders also you have. So connecting rod, slider and cylinder. If you go to the previous video, you will find all these things. And then here, this is the application which you have seen. Link 1 also makes 2 pi radians rotation, and link 3 also makes 2 pi radians rotation. Fine. So this is the major difference between our Whitworth and crank and slotted lever mechanism. Fine. And one thing to remember is shortest link always makes complete rotation. That is the major takeoff from this. Shortest link always makes complete rotation. So here 3 is the shortest link because we have made the length smaller than the radius by looking at this point over here. Yes, this point is very, very important, right? And here we know that R is less than L. So now what about derivation? We'll just get into the derivation in the next slide. Okay. So once again, let's draw the mechanism, but little bit by rotating it for 90 degrees. Let's rotate the mechanism and draw for better visualization. Fine. So now we are going to take the cylinder, the first link, or else we can draw in the same manner. Usually in any textbook, it is shown by rotation. We'll draw in the same manner, no problem, because mechanism is not going to change, right? Mechanism is not going to change, so nothing to worry. But keep in mind that R should be greater than L in this case. R should be greater than L. Fine, we'll just take the red one and okay. So your R is greater than L. Fine. So let's take this one. R is greater than L. We'll take it closer. Fine. And then we can take a pink link and then we can connect it here. Fine. This is the connecting rod, actual connecting rod, according to our standard slider crank chain. And then we have a slider. Now just trace the motion of this 360-degree rotable ring light. So that's what we want to do. We wish to trace the motion. So here you have a revolute joint, here you have a revolute joint, and here you have a revolute and then prismatic, right? Link number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Which link is fixed? Fourth link is fixed. Now which link is rotating? Let's take a circle and just try to imagine each and everything what we are doing so that for better understanding of the concept. So about the center, right? 360-degree rotable joints about the center. Fine. So now easily you can see that. Clearly you can see what's happening here, right? So the slider is actually rotating on that circle. And while slider is rotating on that circle, for instance, I'm going to take a example or an instance, a point where you will come to know various things, right? So let's say that the slider end. So we are going to only discuss the tips. The slider end, for example, it has gone anti-clockwise in this direction. Fine. The slider end has gone anti-clockwise in this direction till here. So what will happen? It will pull the lever also along with it, right? It has to pull the lever, right? So the slider, while it is moving, it has to pull the lever. Lever means we are calling link one as lever. The slider itself is a slotted lever. So what is crank here? The crank is link 3 because whenever a link rotates for 360 degrees, we call it crank. So now link 4 is not the crank, link 4 is fixed. Fine. So the shortest link became the crank because it is rotating for 360 degrees. And now, how will be your slider? So this is the way the slider will look, right? So this is the new position of the slider. I'm just drawing it with a line. Fine. This is the new position of the slider. Now let me make it dotted so that we'll be far from confusions. Fine. Yes. So let's say that this is your slider. Sorry, crank. Slotted lever, crank, and slider all are there, right? So this is your new position. It means from the, it is almost looking like that position, but actually it has come this side. Okay, fine. We'll check for another position. So let's check for the new position of slider. Let me say that the crank is over here at this point. Fine, at this point, right? So now how will the slider look like? So the slider has to pull and it has come to this extreme position, right? Yes. Okay. So now let's make it hatching. 1 second, guys. Okay. Don't worry. Fine. So now if you see, as it is moving anti-clockwise, as our link 3 is rotating anti-clockwise, it means in this direction. As our link crank is rotating anti-clockwise. So this is the position where our, see, this is position number, let me name the positions, first link, right? So this is the position number 1 dash. And now just check after it went to 1 dash, it means at this point, it is again pulling the lever inwards. If you see from here, this is the first position of the lever, number 1 position. See this one, this is number 1 position. After that, what happened? It pushed the lever to, from this position, it has pushed the lever towards downwards, right? And then again, if you come to the next position, let's name this one 1 double dash. After it came to 1 double dash, what happened? It pulled the lever again to the other side. Actually, it was going anti-clockwise. See, crank is still going anti-clockwise, but the cylinder from this position, from this initial position 1, it has come to 1 dash, and again it is going from 1 dash to 1 double dash. It means the lever initially was going in this direction, and at this end, it means at the tangent of the circle, it started moving to the other side. And then while going to the other side, fine, let me show it on this side so that more clearly you can imagine what's happening. So while it's going to the other side, let me draw another tangent to the circle. See, tangent to the circle is very important because on the tangent itself, you are getting the extreme positions. Over on this side also, if you check, it's a tangent to the circle. Fine, to the path. So now just draw a perpendicular to it, right? Tangent perpendicular, you know, on circle, radius, and then tangent. So here, this will be the extreme position while it is moving anti-clockwise. Still, The crank is rotating anti-clockwise. It came to the new position. It means from here, it came to here to here. It means it is moving the cylinder on the other side, or the slotted lever to the other side. So after this position, if you check, let's actually name the other one 1 double dash. Okay, I hope you understood till now what I told about this 1 double dash, because two extreme positions, it will look good like 1 1 1 double dash. Okay. So now at this position, let's name it 1 double dash. So still the crank is rotating anti-clockwise. It came to this position, right? After this position, what is going to happen? Let me check at this position. Okay. This new position of the slotted lever. Let us check for that. So if we check for the new position of the slotted lever, right? So the new position of the slotted lever, you can see that actually the lever has gone again to the other side. It earlier it was moving to the right side, the slotted lever. Now it started moving to the left side. So let's keep our discussion till here. Now you understood that what is the path of the tracing of our lever. So let me just undo whatever I have done till now, and then we'll start our explanation of how to derive an equation for this. Fine. Okay. Yeah. So this was our initial diagram, and let's draw the tangents to the circle first, so that clearly we can know what's happening, right? So see, this is one of the tangents. Now proper tangents are being drawn. First tangents, if you draw, it will be easier. So this is one extreme position. Fine. And then the other extreme position, this is another tangent, right? Now from center, you connect the cranks. You have to know where the crank position is, right? So from here, drop a perpendicular. Okay. And from here drop another perpendicular. Fine. So now you check. I'll just give labeling here. This is O, where about which the uh, slotted lever is oscillating, and let's say this is A, this is O, this is A, and this is A dash. Fine. And this is B. From on slider what is happening, and see, this center is B, about which the crank is rotating. And let's say that this is C dash, and this initial point is C over here. This point is C, sorry. Yeah, C. So this point is C, this point is C dash. Now tell me something that usually we connect the motor to B. Okay. So B joint is connected to an input source with constant angular velocity. Okay, it means it might be a motor. Okay, just fix it here. So what will happen? This will rotate with constant angular velocity, and let's say that it's rotating clockwise. Fine, it's rotating clockwise with constant angular velocity. Constant angular velocity means it will rotate with some specific speed like radians per second. Fine. So now tell me something. As BC is traveling to BC dash here, from BC to BC dash. Fine. So its distance is more or less. It is more, right? Obviously, from BC dash to BC, the distance is less. Okay, keep that in mind. Now, while it's traveling from BC to BC dash, this is C, this is C. So while it's traveling from BC, while the crank is traveling from BC to BC dash, at the same time, you can see that the traveling is happening. At the same time, the traveling is happening. At the same time, we can see that what's happening, OA to OA dash, because they are fixed, right? They are connected to each other. So from here to here, as the slider is moving, it is pulling the OA link to OA dash. Fine. And you can see that OA to OA dash. Fine. And then the next point is Here the angle made is, for example, if you take the lower, if you take the lower link over here, what is happening? This is alpha. Then the upper one will be 2 pi minus alpha, because total is 360, right? If this is alpha, the other one will be 2 pi minus alpha. So here, what is the angle covered? Angular displacement is the top one here. So the angular displacement here is 2 pi minus alpha. Remember this. So this is connected to these points. Fine. And next is, while you are having the rotation from BC dash to BC, while this is happening, BC dash to BC, while the crank is rotating. See, crank is rotating with constant speed. Fine. Crank is rotating with constant speed. Remember that point. So at the same time, what is happening? It is pulling from OA dash to OA, right? It means the return one. Fine. So here the time taken is, what is that? What is the distance traveled here? So distance traveled is alpha. Fine. Or the angular displacement is alpha. Not distance traveled, angular displacement is alpha. Now tell me, guys. So here 2 pi minus alpha will travel a larger distance on the perimeter, or alpha will travel larger distance. 2 pi is 2 pi minus alpha larger or alpha larger? I can see clearly that 2 pi minus alpha is larger. If you have constant angular velocity, it means if omega is equal to constant, it means some constant is there. Fine. And the distance, the displacement, what you have to have is displacement, angular displacement, okay, is 2 pi minus alpha. Fine. I'll just write here angular displacement is 2 pi minus alpha. Now can I find out the time taken? Can I find out time taken? Yes, omega is equal to d theta by dt, right? Yes. So if I want t, I can right away write t is equal to, if initial time is 0, fine, like we write theta 2 minus theta 1, and then t2 minus t1, right? So if the initial time is 0, and if you consider initial angle is 0, if it is starting point, so you'll have theta by t, right? So it is theta by t. So what is the displacement, or what is the angle turned? So time taken from B C to BC dash, BC to BC dash, the time taken from here is equal to time taken for OA to OA dash, right? Because they are same, right? You can check here, OA to O dash, which is equal to, so theta is what? 2 pi minus alpha by omega. Just cross multiply. Fine. Sorry, this is omega is equal to, yeah, omega. And then you take down the time taken from BC dash to BC, which is equal to time taken from OA dash to OA to OA. Fine. This is equal to alpha by omega. Now, if you want to check the ratios of time, means how much time is it taking for from this point to come to this point, and how much time is it taking for this point to come to this point? Yeah, A to A dash. You can check here, A to A dash, then A dash to A, right? So return. So this is called forward stroke, forward, and this is called return. So which is taking larger time? Forward is taking larger time, as you can see here. So this is forward, and this is return. So which is taking larger time? Forward is taking larger time, return is taking less time. So if I want to find out ratios of forward to return, so very easily we can find out the ratio. I think right away I'll write directly, because omega will get cancelled if you write the ratios. So T forward to T return will be equal to 2 pi minus alpha by alpha. Okay, sir, then now how do I find out this alpha? How do I find out this alpha? Okay, that is the question. $1,000,000 question, right? So let's get to the next slide. And sorry. So next get to the next slide. And here I will just draw a rough image of what we drew earlier. Fine. So that way you can, in exam always you can, you'll know that how to draw. See in textbooks how the diagram is shown. That way I'll try to draw. Okay. So this is distance between the fixed centers. They call it fixed centers. Okay. This is oscillation point. and this is our actually this was our crank, and this became our crank now. Fine. This is one of the extreme positions, right? So let me draw it like it should look like some extreme position, right? So for that I need to draw a perpendicular, right? Perpendicular, because perpendicular here I already told in the previous slide. See, here you'll have perpendicular. This is perpendicular. Why? Because this is the normal and this is tangent. So for tangent, if you connect radius from the center, it becomes the normal, and this will be the perpendicular. Fine. So here this is perpendicular, and this is what distance between fixed centers. So link number 4's distance. Yeah, this is link 4, right? In our diagram, yeah. So this L4 will always be given L4 if this is not something else, and the radius, this will be your new crank. So radius of the crank, which is R3, or you can say L3 itself. Okay, length of the crank R3 or L3. This will be given, and here see on the other side also I'm drawing the direction with the dotted line. Here also it's perpendicular. So this total is alpha, right? You can check. This total is alpha. Alpha. Then what will this be? This half angle. So it will be alpha by 2, right? So I'm just removing it. So you can see that this will be alpha by 2. Alpha by 2. So now can I write this is alpha by 2, right? So for this is adjacent, and this is the opposite. You have one adjacent side, right? And yeah, one adjacent side and one hypotenuse. So here hypotenuse is your, see, it is similar to this diagram. If you are confused with that diagram, just see where is the perpendicular here, right? So this is perpendicular, and attached to perpendicular is L3. So this will be shorter than this length, right? So this is L3, and here you don't have any length, and this is L4. Fine. See L4. L4 is at the corner. It is opposite to the perpendicular. So L4 is hypotenuse. So this is now your sorry, this is not alpha by 2 over here. So this is alpha by 2 between L3 and L4. You just check with this diagram. Just the perspective of looking is different. So this adjacent and this is hypotenuse, right? So cos alpha by 2 is equal to L3 by L4. Yeah, cos alpha by 2 will be L3 by L4. L4 is larger than L3. That is already known, right? So adjacent hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is always larger. So from this you can find out what alpha is 2 times cos inverse L3 by L4. After you get the alpha, you just send the cos over that side, so it becomes cos inverse L3 by L4, then multiply it with 2 because it's a half angle. So after you get alpha, it's very easy, right? Time taken for forward by time taken for return stroke is equal to 2 pi minus alpha by alpha. Alpha is already known from here, so immediately you can mark the problem, right? So right away you can even remember instead of deriving it each and every time. But if derivation is asked, then it's better to know all the logics of the derivation. Okay, fine. Hope I'm clear. Hope I'm clear in all these things. Okay, guys. So for any problem or any confusions or any doubts, kindly share your comments in the comment section, and like, and for updates, regular updates, subscribe to my channel. Thank you, friends.